What is going on, Clippers fans? Welcome to Season 3, Episode 63 of Clips and Dip. The series is tied. We are back coming at you ahead of Game 3. It is 1-1. Clips in 5 for some, still very much alive. I'm not sure I'm attaching myself to that train yet. But I am Chuck Mockler, joined by Adam Osland and William Updike. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're listening to us and you'd like to watch us talk about the Clippers or hang out on one of our happy hour streams, you can find us at youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast. But no matter what, thank you for hanging out. We're going to be talking Game 3. I think that's pretty obvious what the Clippers need to do, what they shouldn't be doing. But before we get into that, fellas, just some stats through 2 games of Clippers Nuggets. Points, Clippers 215, Nuggets 214. Turnovers, Clippers 31, Denver 31. Each team lost the game where their star player turned the ball over 7 times. How are we feeling? Is this as close as we expected? Adam, you haven't been able to speak on this series very much over the past week, so we'll give the floor to you first. How are you feeling heading into Game 3?
No, they put the muzzle on me finally. I said no more. You've been talking too much about these Clippers on this Clippers talk show. Yeah, I think Will's put it best. It's been a stressful first couple of games. When you see the razor thin margins like that, and especially even in game 1 where they're led by as many as 15, it still came down to an overtime and still came down to some really crucial high leverage moments. I'll say this. I think the Nuggets have been closer to playing their best than the Clippers have maybe so far. Now, Jokic can still reach another level, but the stuff Russ has been doing has been really big for them. Aaron Gordon having 25 and more than Kawhi Leonard in game 1, and his defense, the rebounding. I think there is a lot that Clippers can improve on, especially if a couple of guys find their shot. But I'm sure we'll get into that at some point.
Yes, we will be talking about those fine Clippers, gentlemen. Will, how are you feeling so far on the eve of Game 3?
Not good, man. Not good.
Not good?
Not down on the Clips. It's just been a lot of anxiety. It's like signing up to have a fucking 2.5 hour long heart attack every couple of days, it's not ideal, man. It's not ideal. And, the way the Clippers were playing, the way they were rolling coming into this break, I was definitely overly confident in what this would look like. I mean, it was definitely going to be a close series. I wasn't a Clippers in 5 as much as I would have liked to have been on that train when it's inevitably proven right. But, this series was going to be a challenge. And I like what Adam's saying, that we've seen one team seemingly closer to their peak than the other one. And regardless, even with the series tied up, I mean, it's been incredibly close. The Clippers are right there. I have no reason to doubt that they can get out of this series. It is just not going to be comfortably, I guess. And that's fine. A lot of pundits had this as the most exciting series of the first round. And I would say it hasn't disappointed. So.
Yeah, those NBA TV viewers are going to be hyped tomorrow for Clippers Nuggets. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of on-court talk, there were some comments made today by the Nuggets head coach. A style of comment that I've never understood why you would even entertain, but he said that it may have been a little misconstrued, but we know how the internet works. He said that noise was pumped in. He said it's very loud, at Intuit because they pump the noise. Some people took that to mean fake crowd noise. Others took to mean just noise in general. I never understand when a place is loud and an opposing coach or player is like, doesn't seem that loud to me, because it does one thing, which is make everyone cheer louder. But I was already excited for Intuit tomorrow night. This added, I think Law Murray said it, bulletin board material for an arena makes this very exciting.
Yeah, I gotta agree. And I can't speak to that, obviously. I mean, I guess I've never thought about it. I don't think noise is being pumped in. But if they were to do so, they are not the only NBA arena doing so. Let's not play around. The Warriors did it even during their peak. it's not like it's completely unheard of. So again, I don't know how this was aggregated. I haven't seen the whole clip in its full context, but even if this is like the allegation, which again, I can't speak to, it wouldn't be as though this was the only arena where this was being done.
So at first I thought, this is pretty tame. I think he just meant music-wise because he said the quote is, "They have the crowd towards our bench. It's like a high school crowd," which some people were like, "Huh? What do you mean high school crowd?" Which is actually really cool, he said afterwards.
It's a huge compliment if you went to a high school that had a crowd that cared about basketball.
Yeah, all those high schools with a Halo 360 board.
Right.
He said the other thing is they pump sound in the place. That place is so loud. And he did say it's very loud whether the crowd is cheering or not. So that makes it seem like he is saying there's some artificial crowd noise there. And he compared it actually to Phoenix and the Suns and playing them a couple of years ago. And so I looked it up, and it looks like they were being accused of pumping in some fake crowd noise. So I think he does mean, I don't think it's just music he's talking about.
Right.
He also made an interesting comment within the full 2-minute clip about, I don't know if it will survive pertaining to the wall.
Buddy. Okay.
Like the NBA will outlaw it at some point. It was strange the way he said it. Like, he seems to be trying to tweak them a little bit. Like, he is doing a little bit of trolling, especially when you see his facial expressions there. He's got a little bit of a grin on his face. You can kind of see, I don't know. I think he knows what he's doing. Maybe it's F around and find out. I don't know.
I think it's more so that, because what is the other result? That they don't cheer, like,
well, and this is already, I mean, like, this is already a kind of an acrimonious matchup. I mean, you know, like, it's not, it's gotten chippy. It's going to continue to be so. You know, these teams are like peaks and valleys, obviously, over the last 5 years, but like have largely been pretty big competition to one another. And I think that it's a little bit of gamesmanship, but I'm not mad at it. I like it, actually.
But it's like, it's not. Does he think the players from the Clippers are gonna get into this debate? Because it's him versus the fans now? Do you really want them screaming even louder? Does he realize how creative the signage could get out there at the wall?
You're saying he just poked the bear.
I think, yeah, he's like Dylan Brooks. He pokes bears. Like,
there's some signs, and I'm not going to get into too many details. There's one particular style of sign that I'm interested to see if it makes an appearance. I'm not going to go any further than that. We can talk about it when us three are off the air. I think Adam maybe knows what I'm talking about. I was already very excited for this. If you get there a half hour early, you also get a free t-shirt. So go. It's going to be fantastic. To the on-court stuff. We're getting right into it. First segment's what the Clippers need to do to win. Second segment's going to be what could go wrong. I want a quick haggle, no haggle for you guys. Haggle, no haggle. Kawhi should try and score 39 points on 79% shooting again. Adam, we'll kick it to you.
You said quick, no haggle. No haggle. Well, there's different ways to take that. Yes, if he starts off super hot, keep going if you're in the zone. If he starts 0-5 and he's like, I got to get to that 79%, so I got to find a run in here somewhere where I just hit 12 straight shots.
I got to make 30 in a row.
Then maybe no, but yes, no haggle.
Will, you had to be pretty psyched because this is obviously off the attack mode comments after game 1 that Ty Lue said about Kawhi. What are you expecting from Kawhi in game 3? I don't think it can get any better. We've seen it get better, but I'm tempering my expectations, but not in like a bad way, if that makes sense. It was such a treat, that game too.
Yeah, I mean, well, he knew that he had to be more aggressive. We saw the adjustment. I mean, it's not like he hasn't been in this situation so many times. And, you know, as much as I just don't get how this is still baffling people, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, I feel like the conversation, especially like around looser fans of the team or like looser people in the NBA, they're like, oh, wow, like I can't believe Kawhi did that. And it's like, no, this is who he is. This is who he always is. Like, the health thing is really unfortunate, but like this guy has like clawed us through so many playoff matchups. And like, if we had even more than one healthy postseason, the entire conversation around this trade would be completely different. So like, there's my soapbox. Like I
No.
you know, like it's obviously it's impressive. I'm not diminishing that in any ways, but like people act surprised and like did you forget who this guy was? Like I just don't really I can't really comprehend it.
I agree.
I think he can still do the same thing. We've seen him do the same damn thing multiple times.
A lot of
Kawhi
people
has 8 games like this. We're winning a damn chip.
Hell yeah.
It's like they're acting as if Kawhi didn't play 68 games last season. Man, Kawhi hasn't looked this good in so long. Motherfuckers, he had a 30-game stretch last year where he put up 57, 51, 91 shooting splits. It's the all-time historic efficiency rating over a 30-game stretch. What are you talking about? The national media, especially ESPN, some people have just been so insufferable how they just woke up to this. Even Ernie Johnson said it, who I love. He was like, man, I haven't seen Kawhi look this good for so long. I was like, we have. It's just about health. When he's healthy, he looks great.
I think I agree, 100% agree with both of y'all. And this playoff series, just how he's looked so far, is also a testament to how well they handled the injury this year. They handled it slow. They ramped him back up. He was happy with how they were, consulting with the outside medical team, which is his, I'm assuming. So like, I don't know if I'm gearing up for another 39 points, but I'm gearing up for another efficient night with really good defense. Like he's been,
and just the aggressiveness. Like that was the thing. He did look to be a little bit of a passenger in game one, and he made the adjustment. He knows what he has to do. He knows who he has to be, and even by Ty Lue's admission, first games like game ones are a little bit of feel outs. The Clippers had some other things not exactly going in their way, especially like vis-a-vis the bench has not been
vis-a-vis
what we thought it would be. So it makes sense, but he knows that ultimately the ceiling of what this team does is tied to him, and it's not necessarily somebody's team or any one person's team, but I mean, if it was, it's his.
I like that you
say my MFer was also not directed at anyone in particular.
Is that your first F-bomb on this podcast? That's
absolutely
pretty great.
Well, that's why it's got more weight to it.
Clip
because
that.
I rarely ever say something like that. But the national media is way behind on, whoa, Kawhi Leonard looks better than ever. God, why did you think we were so frustrated last season? Because we had what looked like the best version of Kawhi ever for 68 games, and then unfortunately he got hurt. Come on.
I'm happy you dropped the MF in the playoffs. I can't wait to see what you say when they win the chip. Will, you mentioned game one being a feel-out game. A lot of people were clamoring for adjustments, which are a lot smaller than I think people realize in the playoffs. One of the adjustments we saw was the timing of the double teams in game two. They talked a little bit about this after practice. I saw some stats from Nekias Duncan, who obviously, if you like basketball, you should follow him on Twitter. They stopped switching in the fourth quarter and they were showing instead on the pick and roll. So what that did was it cut down on the lack of mismatches that Jokic could post up on. In the first game, he had 9 post-ups for someone other than Zoo, and then only 4 of those in game 2.
I mean, that's an incredible adjustment.
That's like a small adjustment that we saw.
Coach Lou doesn't adjust, doesn't do anything. Nope. That's all Jeff Higgins. Nope. He didn't play Ben Simmons in the first quarter. He didn't do that.
But that was a good thing, and I hope that continues, right? Because, Adam, we saw the doubles work a little bit better. It's still Jokic, but we saw Dunn get a steal kind of sneaking up when he had his back turned. It looked noticeably sharper in game 2.
There was one that bothered me where Zoo didn't come to the level of the screen on that Jamal Murray three-pointer that he got, and I think Chris Dunn thought he was going to. He went over it, but he was kind of slow to react to it, thinking he'd have to drop back on Jokic, and then Murray buried that big three. But outside of that, yeah, they were tighter with their coverage. It's still, having said all that, and Will and I were talking about it off air, like, they still got a ton of offensive rebounds. Russ still made some really big shots, and Aaron Gordon missed a dunk, a wide-open dunk.
That was shocking.
The Clippers got really fortunate. They also missed, 8 free throws? How many free throws did the Denver Nuggets miss in that game? They were 14 of 22, and Nikola Jokic missed 4.
And had some turnovers.
I think this series is right where it should be with how close both games have been and how both teams they have left some meat on the bone. Like you could make the argument, and I think maybe David Alman said this as well. They felt like they played better in game 2 and lost than they did in game 1 and won. And maybe the Clippers played better in game 1 and lost. It's been weird like that, but it comes down to a few plays here and there.
Will, how are you feeling about the turnovers? Because they were ugly to start game 2, and then got a lot better as the game went on.
Yeah, I mean, it's always that thing. If they can keep it to that sub 14 number, I feel like they're in a good spot. I think it was 11 in that game 2, which is like incredible. I don't necessarily expect that to continue, but if they can keep it sub 14, they can play in this one. What I do feel like the transition has been punishing. I feel like I guess I'm just happy it hasn't been worse, but it has been a punishing style of play for the Clippers.
They were better with it because I was so worried in game 2 in the beginning because the first quarter, the Nuggets, it was a track meet. And then Van Gundy said this on the broadcast. In the second and third quarter of game 2, they had no fast break points. The Nuggets. So like we
outscored them on the break in game 2.
Yeah. Sorry, what was that, Adam?
I think they had 14 fast break points in the first quarter and 0 the final 3 quarters.
Yeah, which I don't trust, right? Like I don't like believe that they're not going to go scoreless in transition for another 3 quarters in a row.
No.
Yeah, I guess the more troubling stat though is like in that game 2, they had more than like 3 times the amount of second chance opportunities. I think it was like 18-5. Let me pull that up. That is correct. Yeah.
Fact check myself. I was right.
Yeah, and overall the rebounding has looked worse. It has looked a little bit more difficult against this Denver team, which was something that I thought we had kind of shored up.
I think part of it is just built into you have to give up something if you're going to guard Jokic the way they do late in games.
Yeah.
If they're going to double and triple team like they have at times, well, they're doubling around the high post. They're doubling on the elbows.
Yeah.
Like Zoo's over there. Like asking why is Ivica Zubac getting rebounds? Because Jokic is pulling him out to the perimeter, and then Chris Dunn is being pulled over there too, or Kawhi, or both.
And you can't drop more, like at that point, why even send the double? Like you're cooked.
I do think, first of all, Coach Lue ended up being right. He kept Norman Powell out there in the fourth quarter, and he scored 7 points, and that could be a big turning point in this series. If Powell can carry that over into really getting it going in all 4 quarters now and looking like himself, that was probably the turning point for him. Before that, though, I was like, I don't know. You might have to pull him because if he's not scoring and he's not going to get rebounds, I would just rather try DJ or Nico Batum. And that could still be a decision at times late in the fourth quarter just to have more size out there and somebody else that can get a rebound if they're going to continue to guard Jokic this way. Because they're going to have the guys that they've been having there to get rebounds a lot of time is Harden and Powell are the 2 guys back while other guys are blitzing and trapping. You're going to lose that battle to Aaron Gordon and to Michael Porter Jr., who had 15 last game.
15 last game, and I think 6 offensive rebounds himself. The Norm thing, that's a great segue into this last kind of like what they need to do. Keep the same lineup. I said this in the post-game stream, and you nailed it. What did Norm have? 7 points in the fourth.
Clutch 3-pointer.
He also, there was some cool stuff today after practice talking about how him and Zoo have talked a lot about that interior pass to make it easier to have a back and forth dialogue. He's had, I think, most of his assists, not that there's a lot in this series, are to Zoo because maybe the Nuggets just didn't realize that someone other than James Harden would pass Zoo the ball or something like that. But Norm, like, this is why you don't switch the lineup after one game. Like, yes, I'm not pretending that Norm not being able to hit a shot is like fine, but you let a shooter work out of it. And he worked out of it incredibly clutch and incredibly well. So don't be surprised if we see the same lineup until, as Adam pointed out, maybe there is a breaking point.
To me, the overall point is, and why Coach Lue stuck with him is he knows he's going to need him at some point. You're not going to win 4 games against Denver if Norm doesn't have a big impact. So to just say, oh, we'll go somewhere else. Oh, and by the way, the other guy you typically go to is Bogey to fill in those Norm minutes, and he's been worse. So I think Coach Lue, he got put into a spot. I said this post game, if Kawhi wasn't as good as he was in game 2, Norm probably doesn't play in the fourth quarter. Like he gave
Agreed.
Norm
That's
a
a good
little
call.
bit longer of a leash because
Yeah.
he kept the Clippers tight and in it, and that three-pointer to put them up by 3 to end the first half, insane shot. Kawhi was so good, he might have saved Norm there.
Ooh, I like that idea.
That's a great call.
I
Yeah.
think you're right. Norm also had that nice pass to Zoo for the and one really late.
But if
Okay.
it's not Norm, what is the answer? Like,
Oh.
let's say he doesn't have it going again. Like, what do you do at that point?
If one of him or Bogey
Kobe
don't have it
Brown.
going, like, yeah, they're going to lose the series probably. You
Yeah.
can't survive when you're already at 8 guys or 8.5 guys right now that you're playing. You can't have 2 of them just be no-shows.
You're down to 6 guys at that
Especially
point.
at the same position, especially doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Similar stuff at least.
Stressing that positional depth for sure. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about what the Clippers need to not do in game 3. Maybe we'll talk about Bogdan. Who knows? If you're listening to us on audio, there's going to be a quick break. If you're watching us, we're still here. Coming up, we're talking what could go wrong. Let us know what you think could go well at Clippers Pod on Twitter or at Clippers Podcast on YouTube. What could go wrong coming up in 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome back into Clips and Dip. As we're coming at you, Clippers have tied up the series, taking on the Nuggets for Game 3. First playoff game at Intuit on Thursday. Now we got to talk about it. No one wants to think about it. But what could go wrong in this one? Adam, I'll kick it over to you. What are you most worried about looking forward to in Game 3?
In Pinky in the Brain, they used to be like, the same thing we do every night, Pinky, take over the world. It's like the same thing I'm always worried about, Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is due. You can say all you want about how well the Clippers have defended him, and they have been great. It's not going to matter at some point. He is going to have a game where he doesn't try to ease his way in and get everybody else shots. He's going to try to go for 40 or 50. And that probably is coming up in Game 3 or Game 4. Because right now, if you look at his averages, he's at 28 points, 10 boards, 11 assists. Crazy, right? Wrong. That's still below his regular season numbers with his triple-double. That was at 30, 13, and 10, while he's playing 8 less minutes than he has been in the series. So he's actually putting up less numbers while playing 8 more minutes per game. It's not going to hold up forever. And he is going to have his Kawhi moment where it feels like he's unstoppable. That's the game where the Clippers are going to have more than just Kawhi, more than just Sam Harden, more than just Ivica Zubac. They're going to have Norm have it going. They're going to have Bogey contribute. Maybe DJ knocks down a few more shots. Batum out there who has been good. It's going to take everybody in a game like that because you can say all you want about just let him score and stop the other guys. You can't just stop they're not. It's not him and 5 guys from Clippers podcast or 4 guys from Clippers podcast playing next to Nikola Jokic. They're all part of the 450 greatest players ever. And in the playoffs, Jamal Murray, you could say he's not an all-star. He is in the playoffs. He's a number 2 on a championship team. It has been proven before. He's a playoff riser. So just saying you can stop everybody else and let Jokic get his. They couldn't stop Aaron Gordon in game 1. Like,
very good point.
Come on. It's not that simple. So how do you absorb that level of output when Jokic is on that huge heater, which is coming? It is going to happen. He's inevitable.
I'm wondering, too, how that kind of goes with the Clippers' legs, because we saw some people talking about how gassed they look in game 1, all that stuff. Zoo having a lot of responsibility. He's always had a lot of responsibility against Jokic and having to guard Jokic. But with the added offensive stuff that Zoo can do, which we love and is great, that's also draining. You know what I mean? That's kind of compounding the energy drain. So, yeah, I wonder.
They're doing it right. They're doing everything right against him. It's still going to happen, just like with Kawhi. That performance was going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about this, I feel like all the time, but like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if you're the best defense. Like, the game is officiated towards offense, elite offensive players, and we're looking at probably the best offensive player in the world right now, are still going to get theirs. They're still going to have their big game. It doesn't matter how well you game plan. It doesn't matter how well you execute. Like, it's just going to happen. Like, that's what the game is. That's the way that it's, that's the way that it's oriented.
How rebounding talk? We talked about a little bit in the first segment. How concerned are we about this? Was game 2 a bit of an anomaly? Do we even know how Adelman teams will rebound? So if you look at game 1, Clippers lost boards 45-44.
They lost it miserably in the second half. They were leading the board battle at half by like 7 or 8, I think.
And then game 2,
and that was apparent down the stretch too.
They got smoked in overtime on the boards. I think
that's what's so damn stressful when you can't close out possessions. They're constantly missing shots, but they keep getting more opportunities. You're just like, just get the ball.
That's the legs thing too, right? Like, that's, I mean, for all of Russ's faults, he got 2 offensive boards in their overtime. MPJ was a lot more active on the boards in game 2 and just kind of played better overall than he did in game 1. Ty Lue talked a little bit about today about kind of what you were saying, Adam, when guys are up and doubling or something like that, the rebounders who are supposed to do that or better at it are just pulled away. Like, I don't know.
Do you think less switching would help combat this, Adam?
Yeah, what the fourth quarter rebounds look like? Let me look that up.
If it's still Murray and Jokic on the perimeter running high pick and roll, it's still Ivica Zubac and Chris Dunn or Kawhi Leonard, who's been guarding Murray a lot late in games, that are going to be out there. And those are your 2 best rebounders with the starters. Yeah. So there's not an easy solution. Coach Lue talked about cracking harder, just out muscling guys, just having that will. I think depending on, let's say they're up by like 8 or something like that in the last 5 minutes of the game, and they've been getting boards on you, and it's a problem, but you're up because you're having a hot shooting game. I might lean in to more defense or more rebounding then and go with Batum or go with DJ over Dunn or Powell.
Yeah, if we need the board, I was just looking it up because I was like, oh
man, the stat was so good, Chuck.
They didn't switch as much in the fourth. Fuck.
Okay. Well,
same other rifle.
It didn't help. It didn't help.
Chuck, we lost you. Yeah, they were bad. They've been bad. This is my biggest concern, Will, honestly, because there's not an easy solution to this because we talked about the scheme and what they're doing to the Clippers there.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know. I guess it's just an outwork thing. Do you think Batum's minutes going up, that helps?
I think it would. We're all comfortable with more Nico Batum minutes.
And especially if Norm and Bogdanovic, I know different positions, completely different needs filled, but I feel like that's one of your better options. If your plan, A and B isn't working. I feel like that's one of the options I feel the least stress about on the floor, at least.
Well, because what you could have then is the real problem is James Harden has been matched up against Aaron Gordon late in games a lot. Kawhi started against Aaron Gordon early in that game too. But if Batum can then go against Gordon and you either have Kawhi or Dunn on Murray, and then obviously have Jokic being guarded by Ivica Zubac, and then it's James Harden, who you can hide on either Russ or who's in that corner waiting for a three-pointer a lot of the time, or MPJ if he's in, or Christian Brown. I like that more than Russ having to try to be physical against Aaron Gordon late going for a rebound. I think Harden going up against Aaron Gordon late. That's been the problem to me. Yeah. Or it's that and Powell, like him and Powell being your top 2 guys down low to close out possessions at the end of a game against these freaking just Doberman pinchers that are going after those rebounds with the Denver Nuggets. With Russ and AG, those are 2 of the better offensive rebound, scrappy energy guys to get those extra possessions in the league, really.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I know Batum's not a great rebounder, but I mean, you
just
can
the
look back.
size, just the size though, and the
Yeah.
hustle. I mean, I like it more than having more guards out there.
He had 4 rebounds last game in 18 minutes. Norman Powell had 0 in 33 minutes. I think he can do it. I think Nico is an option in that situation. Jack's still talking about the rebounding issue. It does scare me more than anything because there's not a quick fix.
But we're talking about, if Bogey and Norm continue as the trend has been so far, outside of that fourth quarter for Norm, I think more Nico Batum minutes is like one of the only options that I'm like feeling good about.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't really any other options, right? Like, it's not like we're at a wealth of bench rotational guys who can come in and fill in the playoffs. Like, what do we do with Bogey? Like, honestly.
Yeah,
like,
Adam, this is your guy. I want to hear what's going on with your guy.
Well, 'cause,
Break this down for me.
He got more
It's
minutes
fair.
in game 2. He got more minutes in game 2. He's just going to get – it seems like he's going to get his 12 to 15, and if he can make shit happen offensively, great. And if not, you're kind of done. You know what I mean? Like –
They could go to Amir if Bogey struggles for another game. It could happen at some point. But here's what's so confounding about this. Bogey has been in much bigger games than this.
Yeah.
He's been in bigger games in the NBA, technically, based upon first round or second round. He's been in more high-stakes games there. He's been in much more high-stakes games with Serbia, like last summer, where he dropped 20 on Team USA and had him up 17 and was completely dominating. He was better than Jokic in some ways in that game. I think he's just pressing. And their defense, I heard this earlier from David Adelman. This was interesting. They have made it a note of trying to keep Bogey down in this series. He was asked about adjustments, and I think David Adelman has been pretty brilliant with, if you guys listen to him, and he's just super eloquent the way he sees the game. I don't know. It's been interesting to listen to, but I was a big Rick Adelman fan, obviously, from Sacktown, so maybe there's some bias there. But outside of what he said today about Intuit Dome, I was really starting to like him. And he talked about how adjustments can be tricky because you try to address one problem, and now Bogey's starting to get it going, and now you have a new problem. So you have to be very careful with what you adjust and how much you adjust. He talked about how, they only scored 105. So how much is it? Has our defense really been that bad? Like, should we really change things? Because he said if Bogey then starts to get it going, basically, then you have new problems. So they have guarded him well. They haven't even let him walk into many open shots because he's a lesser player on the floor. They've treated him like they know this guy could be an X factor in this series, which he absolutely can be. He just has to see one go. And that's all something else he said. If Bogey sees one shot go, he's probably going to get hot. But he's got to be better. There's obviously, I can't defend it. It's been awful so far.
I mean, if he makes those,
it's just so confounding though.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, what the hell happened?
Remember, he wasn't very good against the Warriors in that game too.
Yeah.
At the end of the season. Now, he did have a big steal on Russ late where he got the ball to DJ for that huge dunk last game. Maybe that gives him some confidence. It's not a shot, but he took a possession away. It was a big turnaround.
If he could get just a free throw to go in, just something so he can get into the rhythm of seeing it. Because again, I think he's going to get his 12 to 15, and Ty's going to be like, please, I hope you can make something happen in game 3, because then we'll see
he still has gravity, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
definitely. Regardless of the performances have not been good, I can't defend that. But, he's still going to get that 12 to 15 minutes because he has gravity out there. That's still not a guy you're going to ignore, even if you're not going to play to the percentages. You're going to play to the full career reputation of this guy. So we're not getting down on you, Bogey. We're trying to light a fire under you is what I'm saying. And
the Amir thing, a lot of people are yelling for Amir. He has had a very poor year defending. Amir Coffey has. He's fouled shooters
in the second half of the year.
Yes, he's biting on pump fakes. I love Amir Coffey.
Yeah.
But it's going to take another 0 performance from Bogey to get Amir Coffey in. Maybe it happens second half or something like that, but I just don't. Amir can shoot for sure. He cannot get as hot as Bogey. Don't send me single games.
He can't
please.
handle the ball as well.
He
Like
can't handle-
it's not. He's just not.
And
It's not.
Amir's a good player. Again,
Yeah.
not a
Oh
knock.
yeah.
Like him as a dude.
It's
but-
just his close to the season was pretty troubling, and
Role
he's been
players,
hurt.
That's a good point. Role players often ease into a playoff series in high pressure at home. That is the hope. We all rally, we get behind Bogey, and he's not too amped up. Like, he looks noticeably just so incredibly intense, and it's working against his shot. His shot is not a power thing. It is a skill thing. It is little motor skills going on. It's not that easy to just say, oh, I'm going to go out there and play as hard as I can and as tough as I can when you're a sharpshooter.
Yeah, that is a good. Yeah, I'm gonna hit these threes so aggressively.
Yeah. Dexterity. It's grace.
And then Adam, you started off with the thing you're always worried about. We can do another thing: limiting turnovers. The Nuggets made an adjustment in game 2. In Harden Zubac pick and rolls, they stopped doubling as much in game 2. They stopped doubling like half, basically. They were playing more of the next pass away out of that short roll for Zoo. I hope we get good turnover luck, right? Like between forcing and whatever adjustments we see, but the turnovers lead to fast break points, all that stuff.
Yeah, they, like Will said, 14 or less. And really, if they had more than 11 in that game, there's a good chance they lose. It's razor thin margins. You have one more. So the idea is they're going to be a little bit better on the glass. So therefore, if they do have 13 or 14 turnovers instead of 11, which is going to be tough to get to again, it evens out because they'll be better in the rebounding department.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at the points per game of the Jokic Murray pick and roll versus Harden Zoo, because while a lot of the focus offensively has obviously been on the Murray Jokic pick and roll, they spam the hell out of it in that game 1. It has been efficient, or at least it's looked very efficient for the Clippers as well in the Harden and Zoo combo.
Yeah, that 2-man versus 2-man is just like that's.
I'll have to look at it. I'm sure Jokic and Murray's is better, but I'm curious just how much.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah, because game 1, I think Zach Lowe had it. They ran 35 pick and rolls between them two. It was 25 ran by Harden and Zoo. They were both very effective. I don't know. I'm guessing they ran less, and not just less, because Kawhi was doing so much in game 2.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Inherently, it's going to be fewer pick and rolls. Yeah.
But you can't go away from it. Like,
no.
That's another balance.
Unless Kawhi really has it. Like, if it's one of those nights for Kawhi, like, I'm fine. Like, just move away from it.
Right.
Well, like, let Harden and Zoo get a little bit of in-game rest, save something for the defensive end. We'll come back to it. When we hit a hiccup, we'll come back to it.
Reliable, yeah.
Harden can play much better in game 3. I expect him to.
Agreed.
He wasn't terrible. He had some terrible turnovers in the first quarter, and then he had one terrible turnover in the fourth quarter where after Dunn got the steal on Jokic, he tried to have a long outlet pass and threw it right back to Jokic. He kicked his own ass post game about it. But shooting-wise, expect him, unless Kawhi's on the same heater, to be much more aggressive out there like he was game 1.
Okay, last thing before we pick the player of the game for game 3. What are the refs doing about these Jokic flops? Because we haven't talked about it very much, but the last game, and there was one in game 1 too, game 2 was egregious what he was doing out there.
Is that why they're missing so many free throws? I feel like ball don't lie.
Ball don't lie. Unethical hoops.
They missed him and the ball still lied in game 1.
That's true. That flop against, I'm just venting, but it's so annoying, dude. Like
the norm one is so egregious. I can't.
The one where he jumps into Chris Dunn and like palms his head.
Yeah.
Like
I can't.
He's
an expert at the wing too. At the little chicken wing.
Of course, Nuggets fans will say, what are you guys talking about? You have James Harden on your team. It's like, I don't know, man. The Jokic mix versus Harden mix of flopping in this series is drastically in favor of Jokic.
They've shot more than double the amount of free throws in each of the games.
And like Harden, first of all, Harden didn't even shoot one the other game too. So it's like, and Jokic is flopping against Harden. So what's that do to their argument? The elbow to the chest, and then Jokic lost 155 pounds and was just down on the ground that quickly. Like, I don't know. I hate it.
I do push back a little bit with the free throw disparity, only because Denver during the regular season led the league in free throws attempted, and they didn't foul a lot. So it does kind of track, but I still expect the Clippers, the disparity not to be as wide. In fact, they may get more free throws in one or both of these games and Intuit Dome. There was still a home whistle going on in Denver. I expect the Clippers to get the same.
Yeah, and we got the home wall, which will be interesting.
Will
Okay. No, you bring up a valid point. It was always going to be the case. Like it's who Denver was all year. But, when you're seeing like 10, 12 more free throws, and again, they aren't falling down. So I think karmically there's something going on there.
Don't lie. Okay. Finally, we are picking our player of the game picks. If you're new to the show, this one can be a little difficult. We are not allowed through mandate to pick one of the big four. So we can't pick Zoo.
Who mandated this?
I think I did. We can't pick Zoo. We can't pick Harden. We can't pick Kawhi. Who else can we not pick? We can't pick
Powell.
Norm.
Who might need to come off the trophy.
You know what? Let's take Norm off. We can pick Norm now because he's been bad for 3 quarters, 7 quarters. Will, who is your player of the game for game 3?
I still got to go with Bogey, man.
That's my guy.
I'm fighting over to choose a guy that's sucking right now.
Yeah, I still got to go for Bogey. Adam, I love your point about role players settling in once they get in front of that home crowd, get settled down a little bit. Maybe he can eat a big lunch or something. Just kind of chill himself out. Whatever he needs to do. I don't know. Sometimes you have a big lunch, take a little nap, and you're good to go for the game.
50 McNuggets.
But I'm ready for him to turn it around. And I do think, as we talked about earlier, if it's not Norm and it's not him, the options they get very scary. They get very scary out there as to how the Clippers are going to continue to keep pace with this Nuggets offense, regardless of how good the Clippers defense is. So, yeah, I'm expecting him to turn it around.
Adam, your pick for player.
I'm going to resist picking Norm because it still feels too easy. It doesn't feel right. Like this rule amendment. I don't know. I'm so used to not being able to pick him. I'm going to go DJ.
Okay.
Love it.
He has been good.
Yeah.
He hasn't scored a lot, but he has been good. He has been effective out there. I just want to see if he ends up with 10 or 12 points in this game, a couple of high-flying dunks, a three-pointer. I just want to see DJ get the crowd on their feet and continue some momentum runs for the Clippers with those exciting plays.
A couple of timely DJ dunks. I think that is what could make this a finally, if we get one comfortable game in this series, that would be the thing to kind of do it.
Intuit's going to lose its damn mind when Derek Jones Jr. throws one down. I'm going Chris Dunn, who I have loved watching play basketball the entire time he's been with the Clippers, and this series has proven how good and valuable and how bullshit the new rules are for first team NBA and all that stuff. But Chris Dunn, he's done exactly what he's done all year. Yeah, twice. Which has set the tone with his play on the court. He's been a tone setter for this team. Have
you heard Coach Lou say that recently? He's like, we need to all be like Chris Dunn out there.
Hell yeah. Like, he's been fantastic. I'm really excited to see what he does at home.
WWDD,
Oh, man, I say that every day. Yeah, I'm excited to have a Pat Bev-esque big defensive play. Crowd goes crazy. He's hyping the crowd up. I'm picking Chris Dunn.
He's only shooting like 33% so far in the series, and I think he can do better.
Yeah, and the offense too. Whatever, Chris. All right, that about wraps it up. Oh, I cannot wait to be at Intuit Dome tomorrow. If you're going, please be loud. We know you will be, but we just got to say it. We're going to be back with some post-game stuff on Thursday, probably a happy hour stream on Friday because it's kind of a weird quick turnaround. The Clippers play at 3 on Saturday. Will, where can some of our newfound listeners, if they'd feel so inclined, let us know what they think of our content?
Yeah. You can let us know on basically any piece of content over at youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast. That's, of course, the best way to consume the show. You get to see stuff. I don't know. I mean, the show doesn't stop for the ad breaks.
You
get to see stuff. But if you're more into the audio things, you can listen to the show wherever you get your audio podcast. If you happen to listen over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can leave a little rating and review. You can comment now on Spotify. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you. However you consume the show, we appreciate you. Here's to maybe not having a heart attack one day this week would be nice.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, Adam, final thing, real quick. One positive thing to send these fans into Game 3.
It turns out, national media, Kawhi Leonard is real mother effing good still.
There we go. He censored it this time, but go back. There is proof of him cursing. Thank you all so much. We will be back with y'all after the game on Thursday. And as always, let's go Clips.